Today, I want to talk to a certain kind of man. Not the loud ones, not the constantly social ones, not the ones who feel uncomfortable unless there's noise, people, and constant movement around them. No, I'm talking to the men who choose solitude, the men who find strength, clarity, and peace in being alone. The men who walk through the world with a quiet confidence, not because they need no one, but because they are not afraid of their own company. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever noticed that when a man finally finds himself, truly finds himself, he becomes harder to manipulate? That's why today's video matters. Because the world is loud, the pressure is constant, and many men today don't know who they are unless someone else tells them. But the man who chooses solitude, he cuts through all that noise. He sees himself clearly, and that clarity changes everything. If you're that kind of man, or you want to become one, stay until the very end. This might shift the way you see yourself forever. Why some men love being alone. There's a myth. If a man is alone, he must be lonely. No. Some men are alone because the world around them feels too shallow, too fast, too chaotic to match the depth of their internal world. Some men prefer silence to small talk, honesty to social masks, purpose over popularity. And often, these men grew up realizing that being around others didn't always mean connection. Sometimes being around others felt emptier than solitude ever could. They realized, I'd rather sit alone with my thoughts than sit with people who drain my soul. These men aren't broken, they aren't strange. They've simply tasted the freedom that comes from not needing constant validation. The battle within a loner's mind. But solitude is not automatically peace. If you're a man who spends a lot of time alone, you know this. Being alone means facing your thoughts, your fears, your regrets, your dreams, your doubts. Most people run from this confrontation. They bury themselves in distractions. But a man who embraces his solitude, he walks into that internal confrontation willingly. And that's what makes him powerful. Philosophers for thousands of years understood this. The Stoics practiced silence. Buddhist monks faced the mind directly. Nietzsche said isolation was essential for self-creation. Because when a man is alone, he stops performing, he stops pretending, he stops being who the world expects him to be. And in that space, he becomes real.
Why the world misunderstands loner men. Let's be honest. Society is uncomfortable with men who don't conform. A man who prefers solitude is difficult to influence. He's harder to sell to, harder to pressure, harder to manipulate, harder to shame, because his self-worth doesn't come from the outside. This is why strong, silent men have always been seen as mysterious, sometimes even intimidating, not because they mean harm, but because they are sovereign. And sovereignty is rare. Men like this don't seek approval. They seek truth. They seek purpose. They seek alignment with their inner world. The stages of a man who chooses solitude. Stage 1. Withdrawal. It starts as exhaustion. Too many shallow interactions. Too much noise. Too many expectations. A man begins to pull back, not because he hates people, but because he finally understands that peace is more valuable than popularity. Stage 2. Reflection. Solitude gives space for clarity. He starts questioning, who am I? What do I want? What has life been forcing on me? What beliefs were never mine in the first place? Stage 3. Reconstruction. This is where the internal rebuilding begins. He forms his own values, his own standards, his own vision for his life. He becomes a man driven by intention instead of impulse. Stage 4. Emergence. When he re-enters the world, He's different, calmer, clearer, stronger. People might say, "You've changed," but in truth, he has finally stopped pretending.
If this message is resonating with you, take a moment to subscribe and like this video. It helps this content reach more people, and it tells YouTube that thoughtful conversations like this matter. Your support keeps this channel going, and I appreciate you. Now let's talk about the hidden superpowers of loner men. Superpower 1. Deep focus. A man comfortable with solitude can create at a level others can't. He has long attention spans, internal discipline, and little dependence on external permission. Superpower 2. Emotional independence. He doesn't crumble when people walk away. He doesn't chase. He doesn't beg for validation. This makes him a stable presence in relationships, romantic or otherwise. Superpower 3. Quiet confidence. A man doesn't need to announce his strength. It radiates. Superpower 4. High standards. A man who is fine alone does not tolerate chaos, not in people, not in habits, not in lifestyle. He would rather be alone than settle. Superpower 5. Intuition and self-awareness. Because he listens to his mind without interference, he understands himself, his triggers, his patterns, his values, his path. This level of self-knowledge is rare, but it is earned in silence. How about we talk about the dark side of being alone? Solitude is powerful, but it is not without dangers. Men who enjoy solitude must watch for over-isolation, emotional detachment, loss of social skills, avoidance disguised as independence, and becoming too comfortable doing everything solo. There is a line between solitude and self-exile. The goal is not to reject the world. The goal is to interact with it from a place of strength. Remember, a man should be able to walk alone, but also able to walk among others without losing himself. How to thrive as a man who loves being alone. If solitude is your nature, here's how to make it a gift instead of a burden. Create a purpose that fuels your alone time. Build skills during solitude. Keep a small circle of loyal people. Practice emotional openness with those you trust. Stay physically and mentally active. Let silence sharpen you, not isolate you. A man who masters solitude becomes a man who masters himself. If you're a man who loves being alone, you are not broken, you are not strange, you are not weak. You are building something powerful inside yourself, something most people will never understand. Solitude is not the absence of connection, it is the foundation of it. Thank you for spending this hour with me. If you haven't yet, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps this message reach others who need it. And remember, a man who knows himself can never truly be alone.